Welcome inside our studios here in Austin, Texas. This is The Takeoff, powered by American Airlines. That's Mark Stabina, and I'm Stacey Pates. Happy to have you with us. Round 3, another game going on right now on CBS, Utah and New England. But this one, we're going to talk about two teams meeting for the first time in Toronto after their first win in 2021.
They are after their first win, after a heavy defeat versus Utah last week, 24-39. And that keeps them on the bottom of the league table at the moment with a solitary point. But there were many positives to take into today's match, such as the performance of fly half Taylor Adams, the New Zealander scoring 14 of the team's 24 against Utah. And one of their 3 tries was a brilliant solo effort close to the line from Adams, stepping off the left foot and finding his way through to score against Utah. The scrum half Jason Higgins also, and the big Uruguayan number 8 Manuel Diana crossing over for the team's other 2 tries. And there were patches of solid defense, some great ball retention, and they'll need to sustain and build on that to handle a rampaging DC this weekend, Stacey.
And they are rampaging, aren't they? I like that word. They are second in the East right now, doing it without Jason Robertson, who thankfully will be back soon in the next couple weeks or so. And I love what Andrew Douglas says. 700 fans expected in the stands. It's another, quote, COVID sellout.
It was a big win over Atlanta, Stacey, 30-23 after trailing 16-6 at halftime. And a massive 20 points for this man, Danny Tusitala, shooting him to the top of the league's top point scorers and top try scorers with 3 himself. DC managed 3 tries against ATL, Callum Gibbons muscling his way over for the first. And then some clever thinking from Danny Tusitala and some quick feet to score the second, as he did a fine job filling in for the injured Jason Robertson, as you mentioned, Stacey, at number 10. But he returns to his favoured number 9 spot today with Michael Douglas moving into fly half. So DC undefeated, but can they hold off the Arrows today, who are desperate to post their first win of the season? But they have the personnel to do it, Stacey.
They do have the personnel, and there's also something to be said about being on your home pitch. We're going to have all the action for you coming up. We're going to send Mark over to call this one with Matt McCarthy, but don't miss one single moment. I'll be back here at the half. We'll see you then.
Welcome to Segra Field in Washington, D.C. for this Major League Rugby Battle of the Borders between the Toronto Arrows and Old Glory, D.C. Canada's jewel of a city versus the USA's capital city. Matt McCarthy and Mark Stabina with you. And Mark, we couldn't have a more perfect day for rugby.
It just looks brilliant, Matt. Look at that. Few clouds in the sky. I was going to say not a cloud in the sky, but there's a couple. You need a couple, and it looks like perfect conditions. It really does.
We've got our starters, Mark, for Toronto, brought to you by Iron Vine Security. A couple of keys for the Arrows are Keith, Quatrin, and Roland. They have an average age of 23 and a half up front. And Tommy De La Vega, the Argentinian number 6, watch him. He is very good in the open field. Set up a couple of tries last week in a losing cause. You have Broad making his debut at number 9 for the Arrows. He's shifty and fast. Of course, Taylor Adams steering the ship at fly half. And look for co-captain Ben Lesage at outside center. He's got 19 stitches under his scrum cap.
And for Old Glory, Matt, we have Mikey Saseni Fungi. He's impressed so far this season at hooker. It's a Commonwealth pairing in the second row with the Fijian Tavita Nangali and the Englishman Stanley South locking down. And look for the fancy footwork of skipper Mungo Mason to get them going forward. In the backs, the league top scorer Danny Tusitala returns to his favoured number 9 jersey. Michael Debula steps into fly half for the injured Jason Robertson today. And again, look for the Man Mountain and Eagle veteran Threaten Palamo to make an impression.
And then we've got the reserves. No slouches there. We've got King, Lum, Carroll, Nekatani, Gibbons, Thomas, Mowola, and Brown for DC. Vic Rogers, Lynette, Murray, Shepard, Francis Higgins, Will Kelly, and Parfrey for the Arrows. Should be an interesting matchup, Mark.
Interesting is an understatement. Both these teams coming in, the Arrows, I mean, they're desperate for a win, aren't they, Matt? Really, they're at the bottom of the table. They've got one solitary point because of a losing bonus point. But I feel like they've got enough firepower to do it today. So they're fired up. And you also have a DC team that are coming off a big win against Atlanta last week. And they were trailing 16-6 at halftime. So they know how to bring it back and finish strong. It's going to be a great game, especially in these conditions.
Yeah, you know, the Arrows, a team with struggles, some players that are dinged up, and they're on the road. And DC has got some home cooking again. So home team versus the traveling team. And we're going to go down to Bree Kim on the sidelines. Hi, Bree.
Hi, Matt and Mark. It is an absolute beautiful day here today at Segra Field. It's 57 degrees, sunny, maybe a few clouds in the sky, but very little winds. Really the most picture-perfect day you could imagine for these players this afternoon. Now, it's a second COVID sellout crowd for Old Glory DC in this 2021 season. That means there's a little over 700 fans here today. Now, Captain Mungo Mason commented last week about how the team really felt the fans' presence last week against Atlanta, making sure to really see, making sure the fans really made sure the fans showed the presence for the team today.
All right.
Now, as for Toronto, they have been here a third roadside game, so they are very used to fighting against the away crowd. We will see how the home crowd advantage plays into today's match.
Thanks, Bree, and we are underway, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, in white, Washington, the home team, or Old Glory DC, I beg your pardon, Toronto in the blue and white hoops. And here's Danny Tasitella with the pass out, and Washington now on attack after getting the ball back. There's the number 10, Mike Tabulis of Penn State. He has risen up the ladder, the pathway for DC in a hurry, and playing an integral part today. Here's DC rambling forward. The Arrows looking for a win. They are 0-2. We didn't see that happening because they are a very, very good team. And again, they are starting their season and playing their season on the road as per the COVID borders closings with Canada and the United States. Anyway, back to the action. There's the big number 5, Stan South. on attack for DC. There's an errant pass. So it goes wide and just not there, Mark.
Just went forward. I mean, it was a very ambitious pass from Palamo. He really flirted with that forward pass line, and the referee, Luke Rogan, says, nope, that was forward, but we'll come back from an earlier infringement. He was playing advantage, so it looks like it's going to be a scrum to DC, Matt.
Yeah, it was house money, playing like a delayed penalty in ice hockey, ladies and gentlemen, and Capitals fans in Washington, D.C. will recognize that. If you have a penalty, you can go ahead and play the advantage until the referee sees there is no advantage, and then bring it back to the original spot of the infringement. There's a good shot of Luke Rogan by our crack camera crew, and Danny Tusitala, who early on, Mark, could be considered an MVP if the season were to end today.
Right? It's a little premature, but he's done. I've been really impressed with Danny, not just with his ability to score points, Matt, but he's played fly half before, and he stepped into fly half and held the fort nicely last week, but I do believe he prefers this number 9 jersey, so he's back where he belongs today.
Yeah, great call by Coach Andrew Douglas to make that switch at halftime to bring Taboulis into the lineup. And here we go. Here's Dusatel. Here's Danny at the back of the scrum. He gets the ball out. And there's Threatened Palamo, the USA Rugby legend, plowing forward, getting the ball to the turf. And they're out of the wing. Roberts Tanana. He of the other blonde ponytail. Picked up by another man with yellow streaks. All right, Mark, Old Glory's keys to victory. We're going to have those in a second. Danny Tusitala takes it to the turf. There's Nungali, the big Fijian.
Yeah, you mentioned the keys to victory, Matt. So the 9 and 10, we've already talked about Tusitala, Taboulis. They've got to dominate the set piece today. There's an opportunity because Toronto have been struggling a little, and the high tempo. Tusitala again with the quick taps. That can get the better of a sluggish Toronto.
Yes, and these keys to the victory are brought to you by Ascend Integrated. There's the Fafana Schultz. Anana Schultz, a wrecking ball at number 8, and there is a first whistle and a knock-on earned by the Arrows in defense, Mark.
Finally, I mean, they've been holding on. It's been all DC so far. They've had possession, they've had territory. Toronto just haven't had the ball. So now let's see if they can get themselves out of this one, Matt. It's still a tough situation for them. First scrum was okay, but they're going to have to be extra solid in this part of the field.
Yeah, for Washington up front, loosehead Jamie Deaver, Siseni Fenge, and Steve Longwell. Whereas on the other side of the ball, Cole Keith, Andrew Quatrin, the Q, and Tyler Rowland. Again, we mentioned that they were all young. Gaston Cortez is out as per his red card. He lent that veteran experience in the front row. And here's the first put in for Toronto. Taken off the back of the scrum. Rambling forward. Giuseppe Dutoit.
Stop in front, stop in front, stop.
Here's Tucolette, the Argentinian star. And there's a big counter by Tanana Roberts. Roberts Tanana, I beg your pardon. There's Dusitella. Here's Frazier, who is hard as nails, Mark, rambling to the turf. He's an in-your-face kind of guy. When he hits you, you know it. There's a nice series of passes by Old Glory, maintaining possession. Let's see, he didn't tap it quick. He didn't. There was a little quick tap action by Ningeli, and it's going to be Toronto ball again, Mark.
Some good ball movement here, Matt. Well, that was flat. That looked a little dubious, but the referee let it go. But it was just that play there. He needed to make that decision. Wasn't quite sure, in two minds. Do I place it? Do I pass it? Where's my support? And he decided to place it and go again, but just failed a little in the execution.
Yeah, it's the details. The devil's in the details with the season so far for the Arrows in particular. Let's see how they handle it going forward today. Here's the put in by Broad. Gets it to Adams with a little kick to space. Our keys to the victory for the Arrows by Ascend Integrated. Improve the lineup. They were poor in it last week in Utah. Cut down the mental mistakes. Chris Silverthorne, the head coach, says they made too many last week, and they have to solidify that scrum. The common denominator in that last week was Andrew Quattrin, the hooker, and he needs to have a good game for Toronto to get off the schneid, as they say. There's a loose ball taken to the ground. Toronto controls it. Broad puts it up. Little kick, finds space on the outside, and it's taken back by Old Glory DC. And there's a whistle.
There's no advantage from the lost forward.
And you heard Luke Rogan, Mark.
I like what's happening already, Matt. Just a couple of little clever kicks, mixing up the play. Some exciting stuff early. Both teams just looking to catch the other team napping. You like to see the game open up. As Bree Kim mentioned, it is a COVID sellout. So the fans have come out in beautiful weather, expecting some exciting rugby based on what we've seen from these two teams in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know, any number is better than 0, right, Mark? Especially if you're a player. And Mungo Mason was talking about how he felt that vibe with the 700 rabid Old Glory fans in Segra Field.
That's right. Not every team has that luxury, do they?
Here's Threaten Palamo imposing his will on the Toronto defense. The Arrows need to shore up that defense this week. They let up a lot of points in Utah last week. Here's DeBullis, the Penn State grad. Tucolette. He's got his winger. Mitch Richardson, the youngster, getting the start. And there's up the gut. That looks like De La Vega with a break. Broken up by DC. There's going to be a knock on. It's actually a penalty to Toronto.
Yeah, deliberate knockdown there. They were looking good, Toronto. But they might have got there.
Stuck his hand out. Once the penalty's gone, he puts the ball down. Clear?
Yeah, referee Luke Rogan not only just explaining why he gave the penalty for the deliberate knockdown, but also wanted to make sure that there wasn't any carry-on afterwards, that he just places the ball in good sportsmanship. Little warning from Luke Rogan.
And Mark, deliberate knock-on could be a yellow card, right?
Yeah, well, you see, it could be because, you know, they were close to the line. There was probably too many DC defenders around to say, listen, had you not knocked that down, it would have been a try. Too close to call, but Tusitala definitely didn't attempt to catch that one, Matt.
Here's Quattrin with the throw-in for Toronto. They call him the Q. As Toronto drives off that line out with a maul in there. Closer, and it collapses, and another whistle.
Great play from the Arrows. And they do this well from time to time. Certainly.
And it's a try awarded.
There you go. Try time. What a start for Toronto, Matt. Just what they wanted, just what they needed.
And our friends from the north score try.
They're getting their water as Taylor Adams lines up for the kick. And that's exactly what Toronto needed, Mark.
Well, yes, they finished it off with a great driving line-out maul, but the play was the lead-up play. You know, they did well to get in that position in the field. They put Old Glory under pressure, hence the penalty. Tusitala throwing his hand out in desperation because, as you said, it possibly could have been a try. And they haven't been down this area of the field much at all, so they're showing that all they need to do is get a little possession and some territory, and they are dangerous. We've mentioned before, they've got the personnel to do it. DC cannot take this team lightly today.
Taylor Adams just off the mark on the kick, so it's going to be 5. I beg your pardon. That is not Taylor. Yes, it is Taylor Adams. Taylor Adams just off the mark with the kick. 5-zip in favor of the visiting Toronto Arrows at Segra Field, ladies and gentlemen. Old Glory's spectacular new home. And here's DeBullis to get us restarted. There's Tucolette, the Argentine star, kicks it into touch. And again, Toronto, That's the best medicine if you're an 0-2 team, scoring first on the road.
For sure, Matt. No, that's definitely what they needed. And that'll give them some confidence. They're on the road, they're away. They need to strike first. They've done that. They've drawn first blood.
Michelangelo Soseni Fungi with the throw in for Old Glory, but it's taken, stolen by the Arrows, who are now playing with energy we haven't seen. Hey, Mark, let's go down to Bree on the sidelines. Bree?
Mark, you mentioned earlier that there are plenty of shifty kicks that Toronto had already put on early in the match, even before that first try. You can see they're really taking advantage of the kicks here, putting pressure into their into DC's half, and that even results in the second try here.
That's right, Brianna. That is Manuel Diana with the try, an enormous try, and it's 2 out of the gate early, Mark, for Toronto.
They're on fire, Matt. 2 on the trot. The big man. He scored last week as well, Diana. He is a force. And wow, shell-shocked DC. Like we said before, you cannot take this Toronto team lightly. Maybe they were relying on the home ground advantage, the fact that Toronto are coming in with 2 losses, only 1 bonus point. But we've mentioned before, they have the personnel, and now DC need to come back with a try of their own.
And Diana played very well on that loss, the 25-time capped Uruguayan, as Taylor Adams lines up his second conversion attempt. And he manages to get this one through. It goes up through the H, and the flags go up. And just like that, the Arrows of Toronto on top of Old Glory in DC. I got to tell you, Mark, I didn't see this one coming this way.
Well, it's early days, Matt. It's early days. They're a good enough team to have a great start. But yeah, to be 2 tries up over DC away. Let's see how this unfolds.
It's Quatrin taking the restart. The old crocodile caterpillar, whatever you want to call it, out of the back of the ruck. Here's Broad. South African. His father's from Montreal, so he's qualified Canadian. Roberts Tanana puts the ball up. Gathered in by Toronto. Here's a little bit of a counterattack, perhaps. Taylor Adams, side to side. He had a couple of tries last week. Here comes Broad, again making his Major League Rugby debut. Smashing forward is Quatrin. Toronto looking to take a 3-try lead, perhaps, Mark, this early in the contest. There's a little up and under, a little test on aerial attack, and we have another whistle. It's going to come back, and a penalty to Old Glory, Mark.
I was waiting for that arm to be thrown up by Luke Rogan. I thought that the winger was in front of the kicker. Little box kick going up. And sure enough, he was just waiting to see the outcome. Because it wasn't taken cleanly, there was a contest for it. Let's come back for the penalty.
Left-footed Deboulis, aka the chicken. Here's the replay, Mark.
Yeah, you could see there, he's probably a good 3 meters in front of Broad there.
You know, it's just not the referee that's looking these days. You have the assistant referees. They're no longer just touch judges trying to figure out if you've gone out of bounds. They are empowered. So that's a difference. Some of you old timers out there. There's a line out by Old Glory. Anana Schultz forcing his way forward. He's having a great season. There's Frazier. Frazier is a hard man. He battles every step of the way. To Satala. Nice driving tackle by the captain, Lucas Rumble. Toronto again showing that they are a formidable team, and maybe that 0-2 start was just a ruse. Here comes the captain, Mungo Mason. His biggest disappointment last week after the win was his hair. He said it was not a good thing. It was all over the place. Looks a little bit neater today. Here's a little counter kick out of the back after it was pilched by Toronto. Chicken. They call him, as you can see, he's darting around like a kid. He was an angry chicken. That's what his father started calling Mike DeBolis. There's the big Fijian lock. Ningali giving Tusitala a little room to work. There's a little pop kick. Where's the chase? Not much of a kick chase. Toronto on counter. Trying to go ahead 3 tries. Is Gaston Mieres, the Uruguayan star, to the Argentinian star. Took a let. We knew that these guys were ready to explode, but there's a turnover right in the hands of the big Fijian. And counterattack. Sosini Fungi. This has every look of being a great match today, Mark. DeNoble getting his first opportunity with the ball. Frazier over him. Tusitala. Luke Campbell. And a whistle and a turnover and a penalty to Toronto.
Well, it was looking more like a game of sevens there, Matt. Plenty of open field running, counter-attacking, end-to-end stuff, returning kicks. Toronto have come to play. You can see their intention. Any missed kick from DC and they will attempt to punish.
And Mark, we have more with Bree. Go ahead, Bree.
Guys, if you take a look at the way that Toronto is doing their kicks, some of their clearance kicks are typical high in the air, but then their attacking kicks are really putting a lot of pressure on Old Glory. And actually, when they're on defense, you see that they're dropping 2 guys and then 3, 4 very quickly, making their last defender in that wall really fly up, exposing an edge that Old Glory has yet to take care of.
Thanks, Bree. As Taylor Adams, the penalty kick opportunity, Mark. This could be 15-0 in a hurry.
Yeah, that means Old Glory need to score 3 times to get the lead.
And he does indeed put his team up by 15 points. And just like that, the visiting Toronto Arrows looking pretty good in D.C., in Washington, the capital of the United States. The team from Toronto, who now calls Atlanta home, on the front foot. Washington looking for something positive. Here's DeBulis with his kick. There's another whistle as Nana Schultz dots it down in the try zone just in case. And Luke Rogan indeed calls it a try, Mark.
Let's have a look. What's going on here?
The confusion, it's not a try. The confusion was that the touch judge or the assistant referee's flag went up, indicating that the player went into touch or out of bounds. So here's the line out. Taken by Old Glory. They need something positive. CD Fungi at the back of the ruck. The back driving off the maul. And Tusitala gets it into the hands of Frazier. Frazier's got some space. Barreling his way forward. And into the try zone. A spectacular try, if it is indeed a try, but it doesn't look like it's going to make it.
What about this man here? Doug Fraser. We've seen him already. You mentioned him, Matt, just how hard he is to put down. But it was no try. I mean, he showed, despite not scoring, he is a handful. So Toronto are going to have to pay extra special attention to the number 12 for DC, Doug Fraser.
Mark, it looks like we're coming up on our first break. And we will be right back. Please stay with us for this Toronto Arrows versus Old Glory DC Major League Rugby Bash. Don't go away. And we are back. Cuisine Solutions, one of the key sponsors for Old Glory DC. And Mark, we have what could be a barn burner in front of us.
Well, it already is a barn burner, Matt. It already is some great rugby being played. Toronto have come. You said they needed to start the way that they have. DC a little shell-shocked at the moment. But there's still plenty of time to play. 20 minutes left in this half. Old Glory need to get something going and get on the board. They do not want to go into this break with 0 points, Matt.
Yeah, you gotta. If you're Old Glory, you still have to stick to your game plan. There's plenty of rugby to be played. There's plenty of time on the clock. Just calm down, exhale, execute. Andrew Douglas is a smart, savvy veteran coach, and his players follow his lead. So I would expect Old Glory just to fix their mistakes and, you know, maybe pick it up a notch, because this Toronto team has come in here to play. And if ever there was a must-win, this is one for Toronto. There's the line out taken by Toronto. There's Broad. Taking it off of Quatrin. Might be a kick here. Nope, he stays. And Toronto on top, 15-0, Mark. There's a little kick by Broad. Counterattack by DeMonte Noble. And here's DeBoulis, the chicken, rambling forward. And a whistle and a penalty earned by Toronto. Not what Old Glory wanted, Mark.
Certainly not just, I mean, a great run, pumping the legs there, Michael DeBoulis. Got a little isolated, though. He had some support arriving a little bit too late. It was a brilliant tackle and quick turn of the ball. Quite see who it was. It was either Deanna there, possibly Rumble. Rumble, the poaching maestro.
And the kick is into touch, so it'll be a line out off the penalty. Here's Quatrin. They go as he goes, and he's having a good match today so far. As the ball's in, taken by Toronto, but it's going to be again a penalty. Looks like he might have been playing the man in the air, Mark.
Yeah, I think so, Matt. Just speaking of the back row here for Toronto, you see this line out. You mentioned it was a key to victory. It was a little, that's a mistake they can't afford to make, especially in this area. But head to head today, we have the two captains is a really compelling battle between the number 7s. Mungo Mason, of course, look how even they are with their carries. They're equally busy around the field, but the statistic that strikes me and stands out, look at those breakdown steals by Lucas Rumble. That is what he's so good at. He leads the league in steals by more than double. The next person, I think, is actually on the DC. Fernanda Schultz has 3 steals. So don't be surprised if you see Rumble turning over ball all day today.
And there's a turnover right there, and that goes to Old Glory. Fernanda Schultz in the middle of that, pats all around. Here's another look, Mark. And there's a kick into touch by DeBoulis.
Just letting them off the hook a little. Toronto, they're starting to gain more territory. That's what they didn't have in the opening couple of minutes. DC looked strong, and then once they started playing down DC's end, tables have turned.
Here's the line out. Here comes Threaten Palamo, the big number 13, USA 7s and 15 star. Rugby World Cups under his belt. And a whistle. Got a lot of stops and starts so far, Mark.
It's early on, Matt. Yeah, just a couple of jitters here and there. Both teams eager to get the advantage. Nice little clever kick there from DC. Again, Bree Kim mentioned it before, but that kick hasn't gone out.
Didn't go out, and they'll get the ball back, but not what the intention was, obviously, by Michael Willis. Again, Jason Robertson is out. He is the playmaking genius, if you will, that teams with Tusitala to make a very formidable 9-10 combination. And getting that win last week was a good one against Atlanta. Let's see what happens this week.
That's right, Matt. That was a concern for DC, losing Robertson so early in the season. Tusitala stepped up.
All right, there's a ball spilled to the back off the line out. And we're going to come back. There's Lucas Rumble, rugby's Aquaman look-alike. If anybody had an apropos name, Rumble, he certainly, this is the guy. He is ready at every minute to rumble.
He's always ready, always ready. Great name, great player. You see the scrum packing down as a result of another unforced error from the line out. Not straight, said referee Luke Rogan. It's these kind of opportunities. DC were ready to pounce, ready to put the squeeze on Toronto on the right end of the field and just let the opposition off the hook.
There's Ross Broad, all 5'6" of him. He's built low to the ground, gets the ball out to the Arrows. Line, there's Mieres. Gaston Mieres, the Uruguayan star. 67 caps with Los Teros. Off the base of the scrum, now they're on attack. Arrows again. Firing downfield. Dutoit takes it to the turf. Smashing forward. Cole Keith, who's a scratch golfer, Mark, and there's another whistle.
Yeah, they're looking strong, Toronto. Maintaining ball well, being very direct. Some good movement through the hands of the backs. Look at them just applying the pressure. Penalty now in the right part of the field, which means that Adams will attempt, albeit a long-range kick, but he feels it's close enough. Brianna down on the sideline, she did say not much wind at all to speak of. And that can be indicated by Taylor stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll have a crack at this. 45 meters, why not?
After you come from playing in gale force winds, can you get a little kick happy?
Well, we'll see. We'll see right now if he has the distance. Don't think that'll be a problem.
Of course, the kick clock a factor. And Old Glory gets away with one. They remain down 15 as the kick goes just wide by Taylor Adams.
No wonder, Matt, you mentioned the kick clock was on. This is a new law that's come in, putting a kick clock on for, I believe it's a minute for the kickers. And you heard referee Rogan just remind him, you've got 10 seconds. Was that enough to just kind of put that little bit of doubt in Taylor Adams' mind?
There's the drop kick by DeBoulis. Oh, there's a big fend from Stan South, the veteran. Just recently brought in he's got Harlequins in Exeter. He was a medical joker for Brev. There's nothing funny about that. He's a serious player. Rambling forward. It's the big Fijian, Tavita Nagali. 6'3", 257 pounds of him, Mark. There's a kick downfield. Here comes the fearless Tucolette, but it trickles into the hands of Taylor Adams. Toronto on attack again. Up 15 zip. There's a little kick, little squib into space, and there's a whistle, no advantage. It'll be a knock on to Toronto.
Another scrum, and still the ball remains with Toronto. Looking good, looking clinical at the moment. Mentioning the ball retention. Just make mention of the cleanup of Taylor Adams there. Kick bobbled around, another little box kick from Tusitala under pressure. Bounced around, it came off a DC hand. And I believe that's what this scrum is for. It's from that original knock on from the kick, but Taylor Adams was quick on it. Cleaned it up and away they went.
Yes, McCandless, the assistant referee, having a conversation with Luke Rogan. Again, they are empowered, the people along the touchline or sideline, to help the referee call the match properly. Used to be, Mark, when somebody was looking for a touch judge from the team, you'd start stretching your hamstring, look the other way, make sure you weren't picked, or hand it to your girlfriend. That doesn't happen anymore. Or boyfriend, doesn't happen anymore.
Well, I think that happens at club rugby, Matt. These are the pros now. I should hope that that doesn't happen.
Well, we didn't have pros, Mark.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. Haven't we come a long way? It's such a pleasure to see.
Club rugby was our professional rugby.
Well, it still exists, and I think we still, we definitely still need the clubs. We need the colleges. We need the youth rugbies exploding now in the US, which is so pleasing to see. And having now a professional league for these young kids to emulate and forming these heroes and superstars they can look up to.
And, you know, we are seeing kids now say the names and wear the jerseys of players, which is a great thing. There's Quattrin. Line out. De La Vega. The Argentinian takes it. There's Dutoit into the open. Sloppy ball spilled forward, and it's going to be called back. It's going to be a scrub down.
Wow, just Toronto relentless at the moment, Matt. Dutoit coming through. Very, very flat pass. Almost forward, which probably made it difficult for the defense to pick. I saw a couple of arms thrown up in protest as to whether that ball was forward, but nonetheless.
You know, you mentioned Giuseppe Dutoit, and I want to just make it clear. We have been instructed that his name is Dutoit, not Dutoit, but I want to apologize to the Dutoit family and the Dutoit family if we're getting it wrong. Hang with us, Giuseppe. We'll get it right. Here's Danny Tusitala. The moonlights as a show pony at a circus with that haircut during the off-season. I'm just jealous.
Yeah, that's more to the point.
When you break it down.
He definitely stands out.
There are some great hairdos out there. Some great facial hair as well.
I think that's the beauty of rugby as well, right? Compared to, say, football, when these expressions are hidden under helmets.
You can't do that if you're the New York Yankee. If you're on the New York Yankees, for instance.
Right.
No facial hair. Cover your tattoos. But we don't have that problem here. We have no problems with a spectacular day of rugby. Major League Rugby, round 3, season 4. Spectacular day. It doesn't get any better than this. There's the ball out. Brett Palamo gets it back inside. And the best thing about this, Mark, is you can watch this on TRN, the rugbynetwork.com, for free globally. There's a kick up in the air by Tusitala. And it goes into touch.
Great exit from DC there, Matt. It started with Palamo from the scrum, using the big man just to get over the advantage line. They slowed things down a little, created not necessarily a better angle for Danny, but a little bit more distance. Great kick into touch.
There's a quick line out. I don't know if that went in straight, but who am I to say? Toronto's got the ball. So it doesn't matter what I say. There's Thomas de la Vega. 12 caps with Argentina. And a lawyer. That's true. That's not made up. We've got a lot of smart people on that Toronto Arrows side, pre-med guys. There's a whistle and another penalty. This time it's to the home team.
You mentioned that. I love knowing more about these players, where they come from, their education, their academic backgrounds. And you're going to see that and hear that a lot with a newly professional league. Now these guys are being asked to juggle their profession with now being paid to play rugby and train full time. What they're experiencing now is what the rugby established nations experience back in 1996-97. Lawyers, doctors, having to play rugby and get paid for it.
There's a line out. Taken by Toronto. There's Lucas Rumble, the captain, feeding it back off his stomach. Here's Lesage, the co-captain with Rumble. And there's a big stick by Cusano, who we haven't heard much of today for Washington, because Toronto has had most of the ball. And that's got to change for Old Glory. And there's a quick tap with the penalty. It's going to come back. Rod had the right idea, Mark.
Certainly did. Yeah, Toronto looked at time ticking away. And oh, it's a reverse penalty there, man.
Yeah, Luke Rogan just apologized and put his arm up the wrong way.
Apology accepted.
Yes.
Mr. Rogan. So I was about to say, this is looking ominous for DC. Another penalty in their territory. Just under 6 minutes to play in the half. No score yet, Matt. They're starting to get a little bit desperate. They need to not play panic rugby, but they certainly do, for psychological reasons, to get on the board before the break.
Here's Sini Fungi with the throw in by Nguala. There's Threaten Palamo. Had his first Rugby World Cup as a 19-year-old in 2007, and then was on the team again in 2015. That's got to be a record for a gap. He's also been on the 7 squad, and he's been around forever, and he's not that old. There's another whistle in Toronto, and Toronto penalized again. Actually, no, it's a scrum down to Toronto.
Well, that was all down to Cole Keith. Came through legally, hence not a penalty. The counter ruck just blasted through. He saw an opportunity. He put the pressure on Tusitala, and that's why, coming through with the counter ruck, he forced the error, forced a little knock on from the DC number 9, Toronto, with the scrum. It's those plays, when you add them up, Matt, that could be the difference in this game.
Yeah, and I would think at the end of this match there's not going to be a wide margin of victory for either team. But right now, Toronto definitely in the driver's seat. After a rough, an understatement of the year would be to say they've had a rough start so far on the season. But that seems all forgotten right now as they are driving forward. Here's Broad. Taylor Adams. Skips. Tuckalette. He takes it to the ground. And there's another whistle.
Oh, that's a shame. Tuckalette. Referee spotting a little knock on there, but great enterprising play from Toronto, looking to spread the ball wide. Tuckalette's so good on his feet, isn't he, Matt? Just picking that ball up around his ankles and then just shimmying, beating one, beating two, nearly getting away from Palamo, and that tackle was enough just to dislodge the ball. So DC, an all-important possession for them right now.
Tuckalette is so impressive in traffic. He just has a certain calm. He seems to slow the game down. Satala gets it to Palamo, whose number has been called a lot today. Roberts Tanana, whose dad you're well familiar with. He looks like he could play today.
Kyle Tanana, still hard to believe at 27 years of age that Roberts Tanana is the son of the great Carl Tanana, now commentating.
It looks like his brother. I mean, the guy is like the Dorian Gray of rugby. There's
right.
a portrait in an attic of him someplace because he looks like he's in his mid-20s.
Very similar player as well, I must say. Carl Tanana, Sevens legend, and Renato Roberts Tanana playing his fair share of Sevens as well. I just can't help feeling that
we're going to have a chat to both teams. We're going to stop this right now because it's been a great game up until this point. And we don't want to
There's a little do's and don't conversation from referee Rogan to the two captains. Here we are, gentlemen.
He's controlling the game well. And this play I was just going to comment on. See that switch coming in from Mitchell Richardson. I couldn't, oh, sorry, Kusana, my mistake. I felt that he could have done that a little earlier, Matt. Tanana was waiting for him to come on the switch, and there was some space inside.
Yeah, here's a wheel. A little bit of chaos, some pulling, some pushing. Ball still in play. Seth Rogen making sense of it all, and there's a whistle, and it's going to go to Old Glory, to the applause of the fans in the stadium at Segra Field.
Doing their best, Old Glory, just to get that possession that they need. Toronto making nuisances of themselves in defense.
And they've neutralized that fan base with this 15-0 start.
You have hence the crowd firing up there. They know they want their boys to go in at halftime with something to show for it, this first 40 minutes. You see they're using Palamo as a battering ram at the moment, somewhat effectively. Perhaps is it time to use him now that they've set him forward so many times? There's an opportunity for a decoy play or something to that effect, Matt, that he can draw in some defenders and create some space elsewhere.
It seems like the tide has turned a little bit. Old Glory has had possession and they've started to impart their will. And there he is again. Threaten Palamo. Threaten Palamo. Can he get it in? Try for Threaten Palamo and a beauty, Mark. You called it.
I didn't call it. What I called was maybe a decoy, and I think he heard me say that. He's like, I don't need to be a decoy. I can just do it myself, and he's done that. Found a little, you don't want to give him any space at all. He's been heavily marked. He's still made some yards, but on this occasion, Matt, wow, just showing what a powerful runner he is. That was just a beautiful solo effort from Threaten Palamo.
Yeah, as a freshman walk-on, he made the football team in college and then started dabbling in rugby. There he is again.
You'll see here, I mean, it all just started. It was a one-on-one tackle. You really don't want to have to take Threaten Palamo on one-on-one with some space like that.
And to Satala. Makes it 15-7. A key turn of events before our half. And something that the Old Glory fans are very happy about.
And something that Toronto might regret later on, Matt. Keeping them at 0. Only needed to do it for less than a minute. And things could have been very different coming in to the second half.
All right, here's the restart taken by Old Glory. Nana Schultz. Guali. The pass to nowhere, but Monty Noble. Nope, it's taken by Toronto. Spilled again. Diana. Uruguayan star takes it to the turf. Dug out by Broad. Toronto again showing some life. Perhaps looking for a big score before the half. Oh, Palamo with a huge tackle. He's playing both sides of the ball. A man possessed, Threaten Palamo. Quattrell takes it to the turf. Here's a drop goal by Taylor Adams. And it was no good, and that's going to be time if it wasn't playing the advantage, and it wasn't. It looks like that's the half mark. I thought there might have been a penalty called.
Well, I got to say, I'm going to wait and see what happens here, because I thought he threw the arm up because it was good.
Yeah, indeed, that is our. He did give it to them, so the kick was good. 18 points for Toronto to 7 for Old Glory. Wow, what a half so far.
Amazing half.
Hey, let's go down to Bree again. Bree Kim on the sidelines. Bree.
Coach, you're up 18-7 at half. Talk about the kicking tactics you guys employed to apply mounting pressure on Old Glory.
Yeah, we've just built some good rough ball in our end and putting pressure up on high balls and getting our wingers to chase after them. Pressure in the air and to try to get that ball back.
What are you going to tell your team at half to make sure that you guys secured the W in the second half?
Yeah, I just want to keep them really composed. We've been really good in that first half, and I want to continue to have them be in that composure and just keep piling the pressure onto them. They're making mistakes out there. We just got to keep it going.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
All right, folks, don't go away. That, of course, was Aaron Carpenter, the assistant coach for Toronto. We will be back with what looks to be a great second half Toronto at Old Glory. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
Inside our studios in Austin, Texas, happy to welcome you in to our Geico halftime report. I'm Stacey Pates. So much great action to talk about in round 3. 4 matches to keep your eye on, and we have got you covered. Take a look at Danny Dusitala being our beautiful spokesperson for this graphic, and he's got some games he's looking forward to winning here in the future. Matchups: Atlanta, San Diego. When you think about the head-to-head in this one, Sam Wuching and Matt Heaton, the top defensive 7, the top offensive 7, a head-to-head to keep your eye on in this match. And San Diego, they've had a lot to work through already this season. They've relocated to Las Vegas. It's tough to make that change, even though a lot of their employees are the same. That is a challenge to relocate, but they are a good, strong unit and well coached. Let's take a look back in round 1. Sam Wuching, he's a former football player. He knows how to cover ground, and he gets the first try in 2021 for the San Diego Legion. Then they faced the Gilgronis here in Austin in week 2, and the San Diego Legion gutted it out. They started pretty slowly against the Gilgronis, and they looked to protect their home pitch, and San Diego came away with that win. Then Atlanta, the Rattlers, looking to bounce back after a loss last week. But when you think about what they're able to do, their forward pack is strong. They're lethal from 5 meters in their lineouts, and this is a team to certainly keep your eye on. Not at full strength in terms of health of their players, but they are certainly playing as a unit as well. The Geico halftime report will always keep you up to date and organized throughout the matches. Let's talk about another one going on in this day. The Houston Sabercat matchup is one we have been looking forward to for a year. This is the Texas Cup, baby. Can the Gilgronis win it again? We will see with Bellicana and Mooneyham, a head-to-head that you'll want to keep your eye on as well. These are 2 really strong guys and fun to watch. The wingers keeping it real for their teams, that's to say the least, because they both are hungry for victories, especially in this Texas Cup. The Houston Sabercats, a tough loss in round 2, but when we take a look back at Bellicana, they had a great round 1 win against the 2-time champion the Seattle Seawolves. So they were off to a good start, but then a tough round 2 for Houston. Now they travel here to Austin. Beautiful, bold stadium, and there is going to be electric. It's going to be electric because these guys in orange are looking to repeat a victory and claim that cup once again for the state of Texas. It is going to be so much fun. We can't wait to hear and watch all of it, and we will have you covered right here. That's what they're fighting for, folks, the Texas Cup. I'm Stacey Pates. Thanks for watching Geico at the Half.
Hey, welcome back to Segra Field. Mark Stabina. Mark, we've got Brianna with Bree with a special treat down on the pitch with Canadian head coach Kingsley Jones.
I am here with Canada 15's head coach Kingsley Jones, who is here today to observe the match. Kingsley, welcome to America and welcome to DC.
Yeah, thanks very much. Did a bit of sightseeing this morning, and great to be here taking a great match this afternoon, I hope.
So let's first talk a little bit about Canada and what you guys did at the last World Cup. Obviously a very challenging pool. You guys played multiple Tier 1 nations in a short amount of time. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned about your team and what you're focusing on ahead of the qualification matches for the World Cup later this fall?
Yeah, well, I think it was a big challenge for us, as you mentioned, the Springboks, All Blacks and Italy. And of course, there was the disappointment of the Namibia game actually getting cancelled due to the tsunami, which was unfortunate. I think the biggest thing we learned, obviously, is the physicality and the intensity that those teams play with, particularly when the ball is out to play. You know, there's no rest period, and we've looked at that hard. I mean, the introduction of the MLR and the continuation of it has been great for us. We actually had a lot of amateur players playing in that World Cup, and hopefully going into the next one, we won't. We've got over 60 players now in a daily training environment with Major League Rugby, so that's a huge boost for Canadian rugby and, of course, the USA.
Talk to us a little bit more about MLR. Obviously, the domestic leagues in Canada aren't happening right now, and you just said over 60 players playing here. Talk to us about the role of MLR playing into your player pool and developing those players, and how that's changed over the last few years.
Yeah, look, the MLR has grown so much in 3 years, and if I'm honest, I never thought I'd say it, but it's incredible. You know, from the showcase that you guys do to the facilities, to the backroom staff, the coaching, the players are getting, you know, a lot more help and support in terms of medical S&C. So it's just grown everywhere, and in terms of what it does for us, I mean, we're hopefully playing in July against England and 1 or 2 other test matches that haven't been confirmed yet. And without this preparation, we simply wouldn't be able to play those games. So this is great to see the guys back out there. I think every team will get better as the week goes by. The competition gets better historically every week, down to the officiating as well. So let's hope it keeps growing. I'm sure it will. And, you know, it's a real great place for players to come and play.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Coach Jones. Again, enjoy the match and best of luck with your preparation this year.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
That was a great interview. It's great to hear from Kingsley Jones and get up to speed on what's going on with all things Team Canada. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Do not go away. Now let's go Old Glory. And I say that as Toronto lines up for the restart after stealing that 3 points on that savvy Taylor Adams drop goal, Mark.
Looked like DC were going to have the last say before the half, which they dearly needed for their own confidence and a psychological boost going in. Better than going down 0, but no. Taylor Adams had another idea. A little 3 points just to put the seal on the half and let them know who's boss at the moment, and it is Toronto, Matt.
Yeah, and here he is, that man that we just spoke of, Taylor Adams, getting us underway in our second half. Old Glory of DC at home at Segra Field, hosting the Toronto Arrows, who are on top 18-7. But we had some more impressive play from Old Glory DC in the second part of that first half. So let's see if it carries over. There's Duboulis with a kick into touch, the left-footed Penn Stater. And what do you think, Mark? Where are we going with this one?
We need DC to be a little bit more clinical. I think they've settled down a little bit. That try from Threaten Palamo certainly helped. They're going to use him even more. And again, I'll say, if they want to mix things up, maybe look to create some space around Threaten.
All right, speaking of threatening, here come the Toronto Arrows again. Mieres gets it into Dutoit. There's Diana, who had a great try in the first half. He was all over the pitch. And there's a big break. Here it goes. Quattrell. Quattrell with the score for the Arrows. I beg your pardon, that is Ben Lesage, the co-captain. He's not usually wearing a scrum cap, Mark.
Well, I heard another couple of whistles. Now, I don't want to get too excited now. Exciting stuff, great play. Lesage with the headgear. Great play from Toronto, but it is indeed a try. So play on, Toronto, just like that, Matt McCarthy. Unbelievable stuff.
Crazy. 25, and that's a little pushing and shoving. DeMonte Noble, you got to pick a smaller guy if you're going to push somebody. You don't want to push Paul Chiluni.
No, I just think in general as well, Matt, not a good idea to start pushing and shoving and getting frustrated. Understandable. At 25 points to 7 down, you might resort to other methods than just playing good hard rugby. They can't let that happen to themselves, though. So here's the try. Look at that, just carving through. That defense was left wanting. Lesage can't believe his luck. Beautiful step off the left. But there was great lead-up work from Toronto as well. It was Taylor Adams with a little break. Offloaded to Dutoit.
And again, that automatic try conversion comes into play there. That's an automatic 7 points because he dotted it down between the posts, ladies and gentlemen. That's why there was no kick, and that's why the ensuing restart was so fast. But here's Toronto again with the ball and a 25-7 lead. Some of us so-called experts did not see this result happening. That's why we play the games. There's Taylor Adams with a kick into space. Roberts Tanana kicks it back into touch and out of play.
You can see Toronto now, especially through Adams, just wanting to play the territory game. Why not? They are up with a substantial lead. So if they can just keep putting the squeeze on DC, making them work hard to come out of their own zone. There's only 37 minutes left. That begs the question, can DC be a little more creative? See Tanana just wanting to build it back and find some yards. Might be time for them to start running, lifting the tempo of this match.
That's not in straight. In the meantime, we had Luke Campbell, it looked like, walking off the pitch for DC. The number 6, blind side. He's got like that Downton Abbey soldier return from war's mustache. Look, Luke Campbell.
This could be an opportunity now for DC. He handed Toronto the ball with the clearing kick, Matt, and the throw not straight. Again, an unforced error from Toronto. They're in a really great position. You don't want to be handing opportunities to DC at the moment.
And that is Callum Gibbons, the Kiwi and adopted son of Glasgow. He's also the assistant coach. He is in for the DC at flanker. And there's Mungo Mason, the captain. We haven't heard his name called much this game. He's got to be involved for Old Glory to have a shot. This Frazier takes it to the turf. Keeps it alive, though. DeMonte Noble. And now DC maybe playing with a little urgency that they lacked earlier, but it's knocked on, and the advantage is now played by the Arrows. Just like that, they turn the ball over, Mark.
Well, that was cheeky from the Arrows. You just see they're making it tough for DC to get that quick ball. All it takes sometimes is just to hold up the tackle a little bit. Have a look here. Just that was enough to not have the ball come out cleanly and quickly. You see Jamie Deaver protesting profusely, thinking that he was perhaps held on the ground. But they're just pushing those boundaries at the moment, Toronto. Said before, they're making a nuisance of themselves in defense at the breakdown, and they're frustrating this DC side.
Deaver, the product of Westport, Ireland, near Galway. It's a spectacular city. How do I know this? My wife and I spent our honeymoon there. And now that's a test to see if she's at home watching with Mama Needs and Papa H. Out of the back of the scrum, Broad gets it to his back line. To Gillette. The Argentinian star takes it to the turf. Oh, a nice big tackle by Gibbons. Already showing that he is ready to play, but it's a penalty, not rolling away, Mark, by Gibbons, it looks like.
Just need to be careful right across the park, DC. You can sense their desperation. They want to get possession quickly. They want to get back on the board, start scoring some points. They have some ground to make up. And of course, the problem with that, Matt, is that you push the boundaries a little bit too much sometimes. You see some of their play trying to pop that miracle pass off the ground. It's panic rugby. They've got time. They just need to settle things down, get ball retention, get moving forward, hold on to the ball and start putting pressure on Toronto the way that Toronto have been doing it to them.
Yeah, getting back to that last play, for folks that don't know this, you have to roll away from the tackle after you tackle a player. You can't linger and keep him from getting up, or you have to get out of the play. That was the rule. He did not do that, Gibbons, and thus the penalty. There's the line out taken by De La Vega. 12 caps with the Pumas. And there's another whistle. After a big collision, Breton Palamo and Lesage. Lesage again wearing that scrum cap. He had a nice try. But he's sporting 19 stitches in his head. Doesn't slow him down. There he is with Palamo. Two big bodies going at it. Another great shot from our camera crew.
Yeah, so Matt, the scrum is packing down because of a little forward pass there. Ever so slightly forward. It was a 2-foot pass. But it was forward enough for referee Rogan to pull it up. And another let off for DC.
Mark, we haven't seen scrum resets. Right?
Scrums have been good enough. And you can see, speaking of the scrums, Matt, you notice that DC now just starting to get ascendancy over Toronto. feel they're going to really look to use that as a weapon in the latter stages of this game.
And if you are an Old Glory fan, those latter stages are approaching a little bit too quickly for you right now. We're 47, 48 minutes gone in this half in the game unofficially. There's a line out for Quattro de la Vega. He and his wife moved from Argentina, from Buenos Aires, so that he could play with Toronto, and then all of a sudden COVID hits. So a guy like that, his wife's in Canada, she's from Argentina, he's on the road. A lot of sacrifices this Arrows team have made as they look to get off the schneid with a victory. And a pop kick taken nicely under pressure by Cusano. Here's Seni Fingai to Satala. Threatened Palamo. He's already got a try. Ball is knocked away. Collected by the Arrows. Got to protect that ball in traffic a little bit better, Mark.
Well, I mentioned before, you see Palamo full of confidence and obviously doing a lot of damage, especially with that try before the half. He needs to be careful, as do his teammates, not to rely on him too much, right? Not to do too much with the ball. You see him there with one arm, trying to do everything. You know, maybe it's time now. He's drawing enough attention. He's heavily marked now. He's a hard man to stop. So perhaps rather than try and do more than he's already doing, give some of the players around him some opportunities. Now we have an injury. Someone down at the moment. Looks like it's Roland. And that was legal, but it looked like it hurt. Maybe just falling awkwardly there. Could be a rib. Just popped out of place. Winded also could be part of the problem. You don't like to see that. With those knees up, that tells me I've been winded plenty of times. What about you, Matt? It's not a nice feeling if that is what's happening at the moment. The good news is it goes away and he should be back on his feet.
Yeah, that minute, sir, we've all heard that a ton of times. Right? But so far, it's been all Arrows, but for a few spurts by Old Glory. And again, that's a credit to this organization. Their problems are twofold. A, they're playing on the road permanently for the rest of the season, and they can't get players back and forth because of the border situation, and because they're a Canadian company working in the United States, they can't bring in foreign players.
Let's have a look at what happened in that first half, Matt. Driving maul here from the Arrows, resulting in a try to Tyler Rowland, getting Toronto on the board. First blood to them, and then this try coming in. The tackle first. Quick thinking from the ruck, nobody there. Tanana had to turn, wasn't in a good position to make the tackle on Diana. He's a big man, and he knows how to score tries. He scored one last week against Utah. Plenty of argy-bargy as well. A lot of feeling between these two sides before this man mountain. Massive human and USA Rugby veteran threatened Palamo, putting his hand up saying, all right, no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's just what they needed to get on the board before the half. We still have Toronto in command right now, Matt.
He is so light on his feet for a big man, too, threatening. He can dance like a ballet dancer through those openings and those gaps.
And so skilled as well. You watch the passing ability of him, left to right, right to left, firing those torpedo passes. He's a talent.
And there is indeed Tyler Rowland, a try scorer, all 6'3", 285 pounds of him. Toronto kid walking off after a match well played. Let's hope that he's okay, but he's under his own volition, so that's always a good sign.
He's only young too. You mentioned before the youth in this front row, 21 years of age. Cole Keith at 23, Quattron 25, like an average age of 23 in this Toronto front row. And maybe that's showing right now because we do see the Old Glory side.
But you just saw that he was a mountain of a man walking off the pitch.
A young man, still growing.
Yeah, they've got a lot of youth in this Toronto side. And I asked Coach Silverthorne if the idea of the Arrows was to promote the Canadian team or to be the best professional team that they could possibly be, and he said to me, well, without question, we want to be the best professional team that we can, and at the same time help the Canadian cause. But they are not here just to feed the program of Team Canada, unfortunately for Kingsley Jones. But Back to play. Toronto spinning the ball. Brett Palamo. Fans on a tackle. There's Tucolette. And a whistle and a penalty earned by Old Glory. Tucolette may have held on to the ball a little bit long there, Mark.
Yeah, that was Fraser getting his hands in there. Great turnover from the number 12 for DC. So that's what they need, those turnovers, to stop that momentum from Toronto. Back here now, you see Fraser coming in with the tackle, releases, gets over, nice and low, holding on, penalty to DC. It was textbook play from Doug Fraser, especially making the tackle before the steal.
Sassini Fungi with the line out. Mungo Mason back inside. You can hear some of the Washington fans rooting their team on, trying to inspire them. They need something. Gibbons, the assistant coach, smashing his way forward. There's Mungo Mason again. DC showing some strength, some determination. There's Longwell. We haven't heard his name, and there's another turnover. Oh, you could just feel it, Mark. Sighing like the fans in the stadium.
You can hear it too, right, Matt? This crowd getting right behind the home team, gaining momentum, and that was better play from DC. This is what they need to do. When they have possession, just hold on to it. No panic passes. Keep going forward. They've been doing that well. You see now, just the Toronto player coming in. Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen,
nearly. Unfortunately for DC and for Doug Fraser, not only was it not an intercept, but they got a hand to it. So DC get another bite at this cherry.
Yeah, I think Mungo Mason may have been asking for a penalty on a deliberate knock-on, but they're lucky to have the scrum down.
Listen, to me, I'm probably saying what Luke Rogan said. That was a genuine attempt at an intercept for mine.
Yeah, this is a big moment in the match right now for Old Glory. As Tusitala, there's a Fatanana Schultz trying the old 8-man pickup, and he is not fooling anybody as he's driven back by Lucas Rumble. But Mason takes it again. You know, you've got two great rugby names, Mungo and Rumble, going against each other. And there it's again, DC. Another phase. They have to be patient here, Mark. As you said, over and over, they can't try to do too much. There's Frazier. And that ball trickles into touch, unfortunately, but it's going to be a penalty against Toronto, so it's still DC ball. Bree, are you there, Bree? Because yeah, go ahead, Bree. Hi, I think we have Bree standing by. Bree, can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me? Guys, look, two things seem to be changing the composure for Old Glory. First one is substitution of Callum Gibbons back on the field. He's the one that delivered that painful blow to the Toronto prop. Second thing, they're actually getting more territory on these penalties.
Oh, Bree, we have another try. Oh,
Tanana.
Into touch. Sorry, Bree, to step on you there, but we almost had another try from DC, but he's taken into touch, it looks like, Mungo Mason. But I'm sorry, Bree, continue, please.
The only other thing I was going to say there is when Old Glory has the penalties, they've been getting more territory. It looks like a tactical decision change from Mike DeBoulis to Renata Roberts-Tanana. So two things that have tried to change for Old Glory. We'll see if they keep that momentum.
Great, thank you, Bree. There's the line out taken, spoiled by Old Glory. Mungo Mason, the open side captain flanker, takes it to turf. There's the Fijian, Ngali. Oh, and another knock on.
Well, what about that steal, Matt, from the line out? Unable to convert. DC, do you sense just that little bit of panic now? Loving the crowd getting behind their DC team.
Can't help but get caught up in it.
Makes for great atmosphere and excitement. Extra pressure. on both teams. You said before perfectly, patience is virtue here, and just possibly, it wasn't the best delivery, but definitely could have brought that in, maybe already trying to make the play in his mind, Dabulis, before catching the ball properly. Just in a rush to get his team further ahead on the scoreboard. Well, not ahead, but they need to score
and
a few tries.
Mark, in that last sequence, you saw Thomas de la Vega take on Niguali, who is a mountain of a man, and that's, you know, that sends a message to your teammates. I'm taking on the biggest guy on the field, up close. That's a good thing for Toronto. They need that right now. They need more of that. And 25-7 with 55 gone.
That's a good point, Matt. Definitely just some little individual efforts. A ball steal here, a big tackle there. It's enough to lift your team. If they see you putting in those extra efforts, that could be enough to just shift the mindset.
Here's Deanna. Back to his scrum half broad, who puts it in the air. Taken by Roberts Tanana. Running east-west behind a man. Now he goes north-south. Satala. And Mark, this might be one of those matches where the absence of Robertson is magnified for Old Glory, as Palamo with a nice nifty no-look pass to DeMonte Noble. And another key point is Old Glory is playing with two rookie wings, both supplemental MLR draft players in Cusano and DeMonte Noble. So valuable experience for them and Tabulis at fly half. But in the meantime, that's not doing them any good on the scoreboard, as Toronto has the ball and the lead. Here at Segra Field, a spectacular setting for Old Glory. Unfortunately, their fans not seeing the home team on the winning side so far, but there's still plenty of time. Here's Frazier, battering his way forward, but he runs right into the Toronto defense. That's Mitch Richardson with the tackle. And Toronto's taking the ball. I beg your pardon, Old Glory. Sassini Fengai. Here's Gibbons, the assistant coach on the outside. To Satala. Cellini on the tackle. There's a little dance by Dabulis. They call him the chicken. And a whistle and a penalty and a quick tap, but it's coming back.
And that's a shame. Danny Tusitala scored a try last week in that very manner. I guess Luke Rogan just wanted to slow things down. He didn't take the tap on the mark. It'll come back for a kick, but still, with a good kick into touch, that could put them within striking range of a driving maul try. They're probably a little far out to attempt that.
You know, the unforced errors by DC hurting them today. And you know, there's also the other side of unforced errors. How much is it from the defensive pressure, you know, that makes you kind of rush your plays a little bit?
There is unforced, as you said, but there's definitely forced. I was about to mention the Toronto defense has been up for it today. They've been spectacular. Just keeping this DC attack at arm's length, Matt.
Here's Michelangelo Sassini Fungi. Goes by Mikey with the line out. The hooker for Old Glory. And they control, taken by Gibbons. There's a little bit of a rolling maul. The back of that line out, take it to the ground. Now Old Glory going for the try zone, and they get it.
Wow. The power of that man.
Anana Schultz just powers his way, Mark.
With some assistance as well. The driving maul from the line out was broken up initially, but the pick from the back, Fanana Schultz, the truck and trailer move. Toronto did not have a hope in hell of stopping that one. And that is better play from DC. They're back, the momentum shifted, the crowd's getting louder. There's still plenty of time, Matt McCarthy.
There is, especially when you have 6'2", 254 pounds at the back of your scrum at number 8, barreling his way into the try zone just like that.
There was Jack Carroll, you see, just latched onto him like a leech, driving him forward as well, in unison. Big kick from Tusitala.
And the kick is no good. But Old Glory with some much needed points on the board in this second half. They're down by 13. We've got about a quarter of the match left, Mark, unofficially. 20 minutes. And this might be a quick break here, and it looks like it is. All right, Mark, you know, it's all right, we're going to take a quick break, folks. Do not go away. Looks like it's going to be an exciting next 20 minutes. Don't touch that dial. MyCuisineSolutions.com for an online store, recipe ideas, and to find out more about our rugby partner, Cuisine Solutions. Back to live action. Toronto and Old Glory DC in a battle of the border of countries, and right now Toronto is winning. Old Glory in white, Tusitala. Dabulas with a kick. And it does not find touch again, Mark. Here's a counterattack. Taylor Adams, Richardson. And now, you know, Toronto might just be content to burn that clock out. And that looks like Mike Shepard is off the bench, and he is a very, very important player and a luxury to have off your bench if you're Chris Silverthorne. But there's Tanana Roberts. Here comes a little bit of a counterattack. Mungo Mason. Tusitala. The flip pass from Stan South. Now Washington needing points with the ball. There's Frazier. Cusano. Cusano, the 7th player out of Cal. Here's the big Fijian. And taken by Gibbons, the Kiwi who made his name in Glasgow for the last couple of years. And is an assistant coach. Tusitala digs it out. There's Threaten Palamo, who's had a big game. Again with the one-handed. It gets it away this time into the hands of Mungo Mason. Now a nice move by DC. They are now on attack. They need points. The fans cheering them on, and it's a penalty awarded through Toronto, Mark.
And who else? Lucas Rumble leading the league in breakdown steals. That, I know it's early to call, but that could be the play of the game, given the context of what's going on.
And just remind me, did somebody earlier today talk about Lucas Rumble and his takeaways?
You sure did.
That man would be Mark Stabina, ladies and gentlemen, as Stan South inches his way forward. DC very fortunate there, Mark. There's Frazier. Sassini Fungi. Fa'anana Schultz to Gibbons. Again Schultz, Fa'anana Schultz. DC really needs to get a try right now, the understatement of the year. Ngwali. Stan South playing scrum half. A nice little kick to Wallace, the chicken, but it's taken away. Taylor Adams to Gillette. Ball spilled but collected by Toronto. They maintain possession, which is key at this point of the match. Nice little pass into the hands of Mieres. Here goes Diana. Now it's a foot race. Who's going to win it? Dabulas gets there for Old Glory. Very fortunate to collect that on the hop as he did. Now 63 minutes gone in this match, Mark, and it's not in favor of Old Glory. Tanana Roberts Tanana with the kick into touch. And you hear some of the applause from the fans, but boy.
And Matt, look at some of these statistics coming up now. 57% possession. However, the score not telling the same story for Old Glory at the moment. Just unable to capitalize. But what an incredible passage of play, Matt, leading up to this slowing down and the kick out by DC. Little kicks ahead, long kicks ahead. This is a brilliant game.
There's the throw in from McRogers, number 16 in the red scrum cap. He had 2 tries against Atlanta. He's in there. He's another one of those young front rowers for Toronto. They've got some good substitutions coming off that bench. There's Tuckelette. There's Higgins in at scrum half. Jason Higgins in for Broad. There's Lesage. Had a try earlier. Toronto pressing forward into the try zone.
Unbelievable, Toronto. The little ball on the ground. You mentioned Lesage there with the pickup. Referee Luke Rogan right there, so there's no question of it going forward. And the skills of Toronto, again, just shocking this home team, DC. The game now slipping through their fingers. They have a mountain to climb in this last 15 minutes.
Unbelievable. Gaston Vieres, the Los Terras legend. Mark, here you go with the replay.
There's that ball to the ground. Not only the pickup, the half volley off the feet, but then the quick turn and the pop to the number 11 to score. Mieres. Perfect positioning, perfect timing. This Toronto team is on fire.
What a pass off the ground.
Wonderful support play all round.
Taylor Adams, and it looks like
off the post.
Went off the post. It clanked, but it was close, but not good enough. But it is good enough for a lead of 30-12. Toronto's Arrows on top of Old Glory DC in what looks to be a much-needed win for the Arrows in just a few moments.
We've got to give a shout out to Jason Higgins, the replacement from Ireland. That little pickup around the bootlaces, and then the quick thinking to pop it to the try scorer, Mieres.
Yeah, Higgins was the starter at scrum half last week against Utah on the road. There's a little kick up in the air. Roberts Tanana. DeBulis. Takes it to the ground. And it's spilled and turned over. Toronto again on attack. There's Lesage. Oh, a great pass to Tuckelette. Back inside. It's going to be Higgins for the try.
No other way to describe this other than champagne rugby, Matt McCarthy. Wouldn't you say? What about that, Toronto? They are just loving this, relishing the ball that DC are offering up to them. It started with the number 10, DeBulis, just a little hesitant in offense. Should I run? Should I pass? Should I kick? You can't do that. It was turned over at the breakdown, and weren't they quick to pounce as well? That pass right there, miracle pass to the number 15, Tuckelette, and it was a mere formality to get it back inside. Jason Higgins, hasn't he had a great game and a lot of fun since coming on?
Yeah, a little bit different than last week where they struggled across the board in that lineup, and now it's just everything is clicking for the Arrows. And beware, Major League Rugby, they are not dead and buried as we may have thought. A nice conversion by Taylor Adams. And boy, we have a 37-12 score on that scoreboard right now. And again, some of us that think we know this game, we don't. That's Frazier on the ground right now. Looks like a calf, perhaps. There's DeBulis, the young fly half. You know, keep in mind Kieran Hearn is out with injury, as well as Jason Robertson for Old Glory. So really third on the depth chart as far as fly halves go. And can't really put too much of this lopsided score on his shoulders.
You can't. No, it's definitely a team effort, but that is it's a crucial position, number 10, and I think it has hurt them a little bit. This will be very valuable experience for Duboulis today. He's played with distinction, but I think just some of his decisions showing that he doesn't necessarily have the professional rugby experience that someone like Jason Robertson usually would offer this team.
And Doug Frazier looks like he's remained in the game. He is a tough character. Reminds me of Paul Emmerich, the cactus. When he sticks you, you feel it. Paul, of course, the USA Rugby legend in 7s and 15s. Here's the Arrows. Danny Tusitala still bringing it. Ramming into the biggest guy on the pitch. Is Roberts Tanana. He's been busy under ball all day. And here's Nakatini, the big Fijian, in the game for Old Glory. Threaten Palamo has been busy all day. There's Casano, one of their rookie wings that they've picked up in the supplemental draft for Major League Rugby. There's Mungo Mason, the captain, playing scrum half. Toronto now with the time on their side. Mungo Mason. Again, here's Nguat Nakatini. Duboulis. Mieres on the tackle. Playing both sides of the ball. Throwing his 175 pounds around. Oh, and there's another turnover, it looks like, and it's taken by Toronto. You know, Mark, we're getting to that area where we've got to start considering our man of the match, although we still have 10 solid minutes of action left. Nakatini, the man that won a championship with the Seattle Seawolves in 2019, an integral part of that squad. Let's go down to Bree on the sidelines, Mark.
Guys, Doug Frazier is suffering some sort of lower body injury. You saw him try and get up and keep playing. He's taken himself off the sideline. Old Glory playing with 14 at the moment.
Thank you, Bree. That's a key bit of intelligence that we can't see from the booth here. So right now, Old Glory waiting for a break in the action so they can bring in a sub for Frazier, who limped off. We hope he is okay. Here's Lucas Rumble getting knocked backwards. And a penalty earned by Rumble and the Arrows. It looks like Higgins is holding his head on a knee right now too, Mark.
Yeah, a lot of bumps and bruises happening late in the game. This brutal game of rugby. And haven't they earned their points today, Toronto? 37 points to 12. Still 10 minutes to play, Matt. And you'll expect to see DC fight till the bitter end. But you would have to say, saving a miracle.
There goes Lucas Rumble off the pitch. Again, he is that dead ringer for Aquaman. He has had a great match today, helping right the ship for the Arrows, the captain. And he gets a well-deserved rest. Let's go to Bree with a substitution update.
Guys, looks like in that penalty, in that stoppage time, they were able to make the proper substitutions. Looks like Simi Moala has come on for fullback so that Renz, Roberts, Tanana could be subbed off. And it looks like Danny Thomas has slotted in at wing where Simi once was to make up the full 15 now that Doug is out.
Thanks, Bree. All right, and it looks like I think Will Kelly was just doing the kicking for Toronto. And if that's the case, he is a large man who Coach Silverthorne sees as the potential Team Canada fly half of the future. He can slot in at 13, the wing, or 10. And he is no less than 6'4", I believe. So 6'4", 215 pounds. He's a player to watch. Back to live action. We have Cole Keith, who's had himself a good game as part of that front row. The loose head prop. And now it's all the way out to the wing. Mieres, the Uruguayan star. Dutoit. There's a big collision. And that looks like Liam Murphy. No, I beg. That might not be Murphy. We'll check that. Or Murray. But there's a knock on. It's going to be a scrum down to Old Glory.
Dying stages of this game. Getting a little scrappy. Bree mentioned with the replacements. Danny Thomas. I might just say great to see young Danny on the field. I had the pleasure of coaching that young man. He's now a professional rugby player. His dream coming out of England, originally the UK, Wales, ended up at Santa Monica Rugby. Normally a scrum half, but he is a utility back. Sevens extraordinaire. Danny Thomas for Old Glory.
And that Danny Thomas, no relation to Margot Thomas, for American audiences that are familiar with the Danny Thomas show here on American soil. But hey, maybe if he can take credit for it, he should. Also, we have what looks to be a substitution, number 17 for Toronto. I believe that is Patrick Lynette, who had a hole-in-one on the golf course this week. Not kidding.
Very jealous.
In a prop. There's a quick tap taken by the always working hard Mungo Mason. And another whistle. And a penalty again, and a quick tap attempt again. And it's a free kick. Mason, his battery does not wear down. There's Tusitala. You hear referee warning the Arrows not to come offside, and there's...
You took him out, he ran behind you into the gap.
Looks like it's going to be an obstruction called. Yeah. Can't run behind your player.
No, you cannot, Matt. And just see on that occasion there, the line speed in defence of Toronto. Need to mention that that has been a feature, and they've been choosing the right occasions when to apply that pressure. That instance right there, they felt the confidence to just race up. And it's been extremely hard for DC. If you just see here, look at them. They're in formation and they get up to that tackle line. And if it wasn't for that obstruction there.
Was that Gibbons, maybe a little experience there, trying to get away with one?
Possibly. Well, he didn't.
Did not get it. He did. Oh, touche.
Adams.
Stabina.
Oh, well.
By the way, you saw that was Will Kelly that did indeed kick that ball into touch, and he is, according to Coach Silverthorne, the future fly half of Team Canada. And there's another penalty awarded to the Arrows, which is now in what's now getting a little bit sloppy on the pitch. There's Kelly, kicks it into touch. 6'4", 215-pound fly half, Mark.
Doesn't matter, you got to keep it up, still more.
Gotta like that.
Drag it down. Can't drag it down. They've taken it in.
Yeah, when you have a flying half that can also run over the top of you, should he choose. It's quite a weapon to have.
There's McRogers. He and a couple of the guys had to write exams this week online, and they were actually studying in the lobby because the Wi-Fi was better. That's what these guys are going through. As it's taken to the ground, and Toronto in full control. There's about 5 minutes left in the match, unofficially. The Toronto Arrows on the road on top of Old Glory DC, 37-12. And this will have fans of the Arrows very happy back home. Some good news to see their team back on the front foot, and there's a penalty awarded to Old Glory, Mark.
That's right, Matt. The Toronto team, just one of the supporting players coming into the ruck, Going off their feet, you need to support your body weight. You can't just flop, you can't fall. This ball will not go out. Play on.
Yeah, you got to get that ball into touch. You don't want to give it into Tucolet's hands. And smashing forward is number 16, Max Lum for DC. And there's another whistle. And a quick tap off the penalty by Danny Tusitala. Simi Mo'ola. There's Threaten Palamo again with that one hand reach up, gives it to Roberts Tanana, who spins his way into some free space. Toronto thought they had him. Josh Brown with a crack. And you can still hear these fans cheering, Mark, which is such a great thing that we have missed so dearly in every sport, but particularly in rugby. And we've got this game being played in DC, and the Mets and Nationals couldn't get their games played. The whole series got canceled in Washington, DC. So this is really a credit to Paul Sheehy, Paul Dunleavy, and the whole Old Glory staff. They have really done a good job as Tusitala gets it into the hands of the try scorer, Max Lum. Max Lum gets it home for the DC fans. And there's some applause.
Rewarded finally, DC, for some hard yakka. Going up through the middle. Good ball retention there. And
there's Maxwell Lum. 6 foot, 245 pounds, I think. Yep, we've got a.
Is it Lum or the number 16, James King? Oh, Max Lum.
All right, we're not sure. We apologize. I might be mistaken. Wouldn't be the first time. And I'm going to defer to my esteemed colleague, Mark Stabina. But maybe we can get Brianna to check on who scored that try. And indeed, it was James King, and I should have known. And I apologize to you, Mark, and to the King family.
Apology accepted there, Matt. Thank you.
As I sink further into my chair. All right, there's Mungo Mason. And it's 37-17 now in favor of the Arrows. It looks like Father Time is just going to be a little bit too cruel to the DC fans, though, as Threaten Palamo spins it wide to Cassano. Cassano fights to keep the ball in touch. The 7-star out of Cal. There's the ball. Still taken by Old Glory. They're looking for a couple of miracles in the next couple of seconds. I don't know if they can get it. But there's a whistle. There's a penalty awarded to Toronto. And it kind of tells the story of the match. When Old Glory's on the front foot, either a turnover or a penalty gives the ball right back to Toronto. And you got to credit Toronto for the hard work they've been doing.
Yeah, you must, Matt, definitely. That's been a feature of their game today. Just that ability to put the squeeze on in defense despite the efforts of DC. Line speed, good at the breakdown, good in the tackle, just making a nuisance of themselves, slowing that ball down when necessary. DC have made some inroads, but Toronto have made it extremely hard all game. And for that reason, DC have barely come close to the lead at all this game. It's been a one-horse race.
It has been. And here, as Will Kelly lines up for this kick, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some people that helped us accumulate some information, and that would be Brian Ray of America's Rugby News and Doug Coyle of djcoyle.com. Thanks for your input on these players, guys. And I thank our crew. And like that, the match ends on the conversion, 40-19. Mark, and our man of the match?
Well,
who say ye?
There were a few candidates, obviously, but Taylor Adams, he's had a wonderful match. Just steering the ship, Matt, hasn't he? At that crucial number 10 position. good decisions at the right time, especially that drop goal right before the half. It was only 3 points, but that just shows the class of that play. It was a big play.
Huge play. And I absolutely agree with you. Taylor Adams, our man of the match. But we'll be right back. Do not go away. And our final score, 40-19. This match brought to you by Iron Vine Security and Leidos. And let's go down to our Cuisine Solutions man of the match, pitch side, with Bree Kim.
All right, I am here with Taylor Adams, fly half for Toronto. Taylor, you had a tremendous kicking game. Congrats on an amazing match. You really brought out all the tactics, the kicking tactics early into the game. What were you seeing that allowed you to control it so well?
I think just coming into the week, we had reviewed them and knew they played a little bit flatter and they're an attacking team. So if we had the opportunity, we had plenty of space in that backfield, and it was big for us this week to control the territory and play in the right areas of the field. We knew if we could do that and build some phases, we could put them under some pressure.
You guys have obviously had a tremendous adversity that you've had to face in the last couple of months, especially in these last few weeks. A much-needed win again, clearly needing to make a statement. What kind of changes did you make this week to come out guns a-blazing, firing this afternoon?
I think the biggest thing for us was just looking within. You know, it's not that we weren't there from game plan or effort, but we just lacked a bit of composure at times through those first couple of games. And this week it was just about playing for each other and our team. We really had to come out there with a lot more heart and a lot more effort, and I think we did that, especially in that first half. We put them under a lot of pressure, and that allowed us to flow into the game and get some points in the end of it.
Well, congrats again, Taylor. Tremendous performance, and best of luck next week.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
All right, Mark. Statistically speaking, you know, Toronto.
Fantastic game. Yeah, look at these 58% possession in the end, 57 territory for Old Glory. So they had enough ball. They were playing in the right ends of the field at times, but just couldn't convert those into points. 73 carries, and that says something about the defense of Toronto as well versus 53. Just an all-round great effort from Toronto today. Once they got in front, they never looked back.
Yeah, and there's a big try right there under the posts. But ladies and gentlemen, what an exciting match. The Battle of the Border won this time by the Toronto Arrows over Old Glory DC. On behalf of Mark Stabina and our crew, our crack crew, I'm Matt McCarthy. We couldn't be happier to be bringing you rugby, and please check it out all out on the rugbynetwork.com. Major League Rugby for free. You can watch it. It's a spectacular site. It's all the action you can see. We'll see you next time for Major League Rugby. We can't wait.